What is up, people? Welcome back to a brand new video, and in this video we're going to be talking about Logan Paul and the janko drama. We talked about Logan Paul a few months ago, maybe 2-3 months ago, I believe, about him being a shit brother. Would you believe me if I told you that Logan Paul is also a shit friend? Janko did an episode on his podcast where he was talking to Mike. I don't know what his last name is, but he was talking to Mike, which is Logan Paul's co-host, Logan Paul's only co-host, by the way, and he wanted to confront Mike on what he went through on the Impulsive podcast. So yep, I'll show you a few segments right here.
Between both of those relationships, I don't know why you always
because you guys both pissed me off in different ways.
Yeah, I've been still trying to figure out how. Yeah.
Okay, the Bobby Lee situation.
Who was the first person that jumped off the couch and said George just left? That was not good. We have to fix the situation.
But did they not cut shit that you should have stood up for me and said, hey, you can't cut that shit. That's gonna make him look like an idiot for leaving.
Okay, let's slow down, and I'll answer that. We have always caught. This is all healthy, by the way. We have always cut.
Start crying.
No. Which by the way would be healthy. We have numerous times on the show, which I'm sure a number of shows do, cut things that we believe will protect the integrity or reputation of the guest.
That protected nobody but him.
So in order to protect the guests that are on the show, janko has to look like a complete idiot on the podcast. So Logan is perfectly fine with janko looking like a complete asshat for leaving the show during the Bobby Lee episode, which he is going to elaborate, the reason why he left and shit. He's completely okay with making janko look terrible on that episode to protect the integrity of a guest that's on the show. Do you guys hear this shit? Bro, this really goes to show that Logan Paul has no integrity and no loyalty towards his friends.
I never had a problem with Bobby Lee.
No, he knows that.
I had a problem with the way that Logan and you were kind of gassing him to keep doing. He started the episode putting his balls in my face. I let that one go. Then every 2 seconds, he kept grabbing my dick.
I don't think...
How would you feel if a man that has his back completely towards you, that only turns around to grab your dick,
right,
talk shit to your face, and you can't smack or beat the living brakes off of this guy? Because Logan makes me apologize to this man, or I don't have a job on Impulsive anymore.
Wow. This is absolutely insane. Now imagine you're doing a podcast with your friends, right? You have a certain guest that's a comedian, and that said comedian is touching your balls or touching your dick as a joke. What is even the context here? Logan Paul literally making janko apologize to a dude that literally sexually assaulted him is absolutely nuts. Honestly, I just don't know what to say at this point. Logan, you are a shit human being.
But after the episode, do you remember when you called me and I said, Mike, this is all that happens, and you said verbatim, you said, it's our fault for not telling you this, but me and Logan are really the ones who should be talking to the guest. You are really there for a boys only episode. So while I get sexually harassed, my other co-host is trying to fire me, and you're trying to leverage me to be quiet during other guests. And then on my birthday, you guys shot 3 episodes, so I couldn't show up.
I just think...
On my 30th birthday, you shot 3 episodes.
So wow, they were literally pushing this dude to the side, and this was literally after he got sexually assaulted by Bobby Lee. First he gets sexually assaulted, and Logan is trying to fire him because he got offended because he got touched on his private area without his consent. And now Mike is telling him that he shouldn't show up when they have guests on the podcast that he's a part of. That is another level of fucked up. And they made sure that he wasn't going to be able to come by shooting 2 or 3 episodes on his birthday. Bro, that is insane, bro. They were literally pushing this man off of the podcast, bro. That's fucking ridiculous.
When Logan came after me for my religion, the show hit rock bottom and we weren't getting paid. I was getting paid $5,000 a month, and that's covering just Reed. I have a mortgage, I have my sister that works for me, I have Belle, I'm trying to get married, I had all these things. So I had to start my own show because we're not making money on this show, and I'm getting pushed out of this show.
Well, at the time we weren't making money. You made money on the show.
But at the time, we're a couple months.
How much money did you make over the course?
I can show you my books. I was spending 10 G's a month.
$5,000 a month in Canada would be terrific. But I don't know how it would be in LA. I don't know how much you have to make a year to live in LA, but I know that LA is pricey as fuck. So it's a lot of money still, but it's probably not enough for LA standards. $200,000 is downright middle class if you live in big cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, Seattle, New York, Boston, Washington, or San Diego. Are you fucking kidding me? God damn. Logan Paul has Prime and he has a lot of ventures making him millions and millions of dollars. Yet he only paid George Janko like $5,000 a month. The math is not mathing here. Yo, you gotta call this motherfucking Mr. Krabs because that nigga be cheap as hell.
Do you know what my final straw was? What? I got my show going, and then not only was I controlled and pushed around on Impulsive, but then Logan's making calls and directing my show. And I'm saying, hey man, you can't tell me what to do on my own show. That's not okay.
What's that about?
He told me that I couldn't take Celsius. And then I said, hey,
he didn't tell you that you couldn't take Celsius.
Messages.
No, he didn't tell you that you couldn't take Celsius. He
says if I take Celsius, I'm not a part of Impulsive.
Then isn't this the same douchebag that argued with his brother for like 30 minutes for not bringing his own brand onto his brother's event when his brother literally had a competing partner against Prime?
Ridiculous, dude. Do you think I would ever ban you from promoting any of your shit at any of my events? That's ridiculous.
Wait, that's because of who the partner, the competing partner was
Marcos
for the event.
Texted us 4 times with stipulations, listed out paragraphs.
Yeah, get over it. Like, and meanwhile,
come on, I'm your brother building a business.
George is literally doing the same thing, but on his own fucking podcast. It's not like George is promoting a competing brand on Impulsive. His logic is flawed, or he's just an absolute hypocrite.
That you cannot continue to be on Impulsive, which is the core driver for Prime, as you're going to continue to funnel viewership from the Impulsive show back to your show, which promotes a competitive product. Yeah. He also told you that if you wait 6 months after the deal's done, you're more than welcome to rejoin the show if you need to make money.
But they're always trying to find a way to push me out. This is a guy who's sending us screenshots of $11 million a week that he's making, okay? And on top of that, we never got any money from Prime, and we own that show. So technically, we should have gotten a percentage of that. When I get that call, and I tell him, I go, Logan, I get it, bro. And I fully told him, I go, listen, man, like, I will take half the deal that Celsius gives me. Half. If you want to put it on the table for my show, a quarter, work with me. He says, I won't pay you a dime. You're here because of me. Then I said, well, what do you want me to do for my bills, bro? I got no money. And he says, go have your rich dad pay for it.
Oh, hell no. We would have had to square up after that for sure, bro. Like I said before, Prime is making millions and millions of dollars. George literally promoting another competing product on his own show wouldn't have changed anything. And plus the fact that George was willing to work with Logan in order to get like a deal with Prime so that he won't promote, Celsius or whatever, and that Logan straight out refused. At the same time, what do you expect? Like, do you just expect him to just go broke because you want him to do things your way? He responded, and the response was dog shit.
I had to start my own show because we're not making money on the show, and I'm getting pushed out.
You made money on the show.
I can show you my books. I was spending 10 G's a month being on the show.
All right, let's talk about this. Obviously, I wasn't on the podcast to represent myself, so I'd like to clarify a few things that were said. As well as having his own credit card, all expenses related to the show were paid for, including all travel and lodging. Obviously, George's total reimbursement came out to $20,000, 317 cents.
Logan, he was literally only talking about a time frame where he wasn't making as much money. He never said that he didn't make any money from the show.
There's a guy who's sending us screenshots of $11 million a week that he's making.
This statement is so crazy that it's almost laughable. That would mean I'm making $572 million a year. I'm nowhere near that. What happened was Prime had a very successful month. I think we did like 60 to 70 million, and I sent it to our group chat because I was proud of the business. I was stoked to show the boys, and I think George maybe misinterpreted that as like my personal income.
Getting all that money from Prime, but no refund from CryptoZoo.
I know it's been bumpy, but your support is everything to me, and I will make this right. Well, there we go. Good guy, Logan. Obviously, he's got to try and rectify this, but he's working on it, and that's the important